I've created a flowchart here just to explain to you a little bit better and a little bit more clearer how this agent is built. First of all, the agent architecture that we're using for this, we have a couple of required components. So we have a make.com account, you will need an Airtable account, you will need a couple of integrations with ChatGPT, so the API of ChatGPT, Perplexity API, and Claude Anthropic API. We've chosen all of them just for specific reasons. The agents operate in two phases. So this is phase one. This is the phase that actually creates the course chapter designs, and after all of that's been created, it will actually start writing all the modules and all the lessons that it needs to create, and the citations, of course. So two parts. And let's have a look how it starts off. It starts off with a trigger. A trigger is sort of like the start point of every automation. In this case, we've gone for a webhook. A webhook is just nothing more than an address where you can send data to. Trust me, this sounds very complicated, but it's all been built with no code tool. So it's literally connecting on modules like you are seeing here. And this is what it would look like in real life. It literally is a couple of modules connected on. Let me just go back to how we built it. We're receiving a record from Airtable. So in the initial setup, so you're writing a course, or you're having an agent write a full course for you, you will need to give it a company profile or a profile, and you will need to have a target audience selected. So those are things that you can do with ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI you want to use for it. Define your company profile. So what are we going to be using as this agent, and who is the target audience that we're going to be talking to? We just have a demo set up within hours, and how to lose weight with the keto diet. I have nothing to do with keto. I'm not keto. We just had to come up with an example. You are an online course creator for ketonis. That's what we call it, yeah? So we've prompted it here. You can edit the prompt here. So this is our Airtable. We have a company profile and we have a target audience set up here. So we've written out what our target audience is. You could have this, could be any target audience you want to aim for. Just keep in mind that when you put in this target audience, the AIs will keep that in mind when writing your course. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole point to this. We have a little trigger here that can create the chapter outlines, and when it runs, it will actually start running the chapters here. Let me just go back to the flowchart. It's going to start generating the course outlines. It's going to make all the modules and all the chapters sort of an outline of what it's going to be writing about. Then it's going to turn all of that into a JSON, and the JSON is just loads and loads of code just to make it a little bit more structured at the end of this whole workflow. So we're sending it off to a router, and the router just goes off to two ways. And again, it sounds complicated, but trust me, it's not. It writes to Airtable, so it writes the chapter table, and it writes the Airtable chapter tables with the citations, and it will send it all back into Airtable. After it's done all of that, it will trigger part two. This is part two of the automation. So it's going to grab an Airtable webhook trigger. So this, again, that package, all that data that we've received in A will be sent into the Airtable, and then it will trigger the Airtable will automatically trigger so that the whole automation starts running. It will search for related records, so it will find all the fields that have been that we filled in here, and then it will actually prepare the data for processing. So it will fetch detailed records, it will generate the course content citations, it will turn all of the JSON into the new output, it will generate chapter content, it will update primary records, and then it will send it off. It will actually start finding the citations. So it will update everything that's been written and will add citations onto it. So the end result for this part of this agent is just a database full of content. And the content you can put straight into, what did I say, Udemy or School or Skillshare or any platform that you want to be utilizing to have your courses on. This is just the bird's eye overview on how we've set this all up. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty and start building this thing. The next thing I want to be showing you is the database itself. I am using Airtable, and like I say in every one of our videos, this is sort of like yeah, Google Sheets then on steroids. And why do I say that? Well, it's got so many functions in the background. So I can run scripts, I can connect loads of little things on together, something that is a little bit more challenging in Google Sheets. So this is our course creator Airtable database. How it works, we have two fields. So we've got the course itself and we've got the chapters. So this is where, remember what I was just telling you in the previous step, this is where all of these parts will be placed into our database. So first thing I need to do, the only thing that you need to do to be able to let this agent run is to sort of like train it on stuff that you want to be talking about. So the course that you want to be creating. I have a reference file here on the left, and my first initial topic that I want to be talking about is how to lose weight with the keto diet. I have nothing to do with keto. I'm not on ketosis. I don't even know, never even been in ketosis. I just thought this would be an interesting topic, seeing as there's a lot of health, wealth, or relationships. Those are like the three topics that people are really interested in. They're sort of evergreen, so let's go for the keto diet. The first thing we need to do, we need to give our system prompt the system a prompt. What I am going to do here, I'm going to paste my prompt. So let's have a look at the prompt that I've made. You are a course outline creator for Ketonis. I had to give it a name, so I've given it a company name. I've called it Ketonis. If it's not taken, take it, do this. You will create a comprehensive course outline, including chapters, heading, learning objectives, and key points. This course aims to empower and educate Ketonis community subscribers. Blah, 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 blah. The course will take 4 to 6 hours to complete and be very interactive. So it's making a lot of content if you have 4 to 6 hours of complete content, and be very interactive with real case studies. And that's the crucial part. We're trying to base it on sources. So we're using Perplexity. Later on in this build, you'll see how we use Perplexity and grab sources from the internet. We need to have reputable sources to be able to have a real course online. Rich in data and examples pulled from real resources, blah, blah. Each lesson requires detailed learning in clear English. That could be French, that could be German, that could be Swahili, whatever you want to have. This is our prompt. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but we're prompting it. You can prompt it however you want. Now, we had to give our company a company profile. So I've just come up with a basic company profile. Our company specializes in comprehensive online education about the ketogenic lifestyle, blah, 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 blah. So just prompt it here. Give it your company profile. Go to ChatGPT, go to Claude, come up with your company profile, put it in here. After that, you will need to define your target audience. I'm not getting into how to define your target audience. Come up with the target audience for yourself. Ask ChatGPT or Claude or whichever one you're using. Put your target audience in here. And once you have it, these are pretty much the only steps that you have to do to be able to get this up and running. So we've filled in the name. So in this case, how to lose weight with the keto diet. We've given it a system prompt, so we're talking to ChatGPT, and I'll show you that in straight after this one. And now to trigger this automation, I can use this little drop down and I can say create chapter outlines. Now what's going to happen when I do that? So this is the build that I was talking about. So this is using make.com, and again it's very, very simple. You just add a module. So in this case we've got a trigger, and it's going to get a topic, then it's going to create a lesson outline. It's going to iterate, so it's going to repeat over and over the last parts until it's filled all of the course creation in here. So I'm just going to hit run here, and then it's just going to wait for content to be delivered. And the way I can trigger this automation, because I first need to fill in all of these fields. I don't want it to trigger as soon as I fill something in. So we put in a fail safe here, create a chapter outline. So now, if I go back, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go back to my automation, and you will see in a couple of seconds, it will start running by itself. There you go, it started running. So now it's actually getting the topics, it's creating the outline, it's doing everything that we're asking it to do. It's gonna keep on repeating this part, and then when I go back and I go to part 2 in my database, in my Airtable, you will see that all of these fields will start, there you go, started filling all of the fields, the sources, case, how to lose weight with the keto diet. Let me go back to the introduction. So what you see here, introduction to the keto diet. It will say module 1, understanding the basics of a ketogenic diet, and then it will come up with the Claude content in a minute. This is like a process that needs to keep running in the background, and you'll see in a second that everything will be populated by itself. And in the meantime, while it's populating, let me just explain part 2 of this automation. First of all that content that we put in part 1, all of this will be sent off to our Airtable. As soon as that's hit within Airtable, it will start triggering. So I'm going to show you here. It's going to go citation tool and writer, and then we're going to tell it as soon as something's been put in there. Start, get records, all records associated with the main topic. And it's going to iterate through each lesson, and it's going to get individual lessons, and then it's going to get a citation. So we're using Perplexity for that. For each one we've put in quite a bit of prompting. So remember, all that data that was coming from here is going to be put into a JSON format, and then it's going to write the content within Claude, and I will get into doing this in a second. So then it will be all sent back to Airtable, and then it's going to iterate through all of it again. So it's going to create citations if needed, and we've put in so you can see here it's actually being populated right now. We've put in here create content, so we get a citation. Here are our citations on the side, but if we don't like them, we can just say rerun, and it will rerun the citations for that row. This is sort of like in a nutshell how we have built it. I'm not going to get into how to build the exact Airtable. Here are all the fields. If you know a little about Airtable, it's quite easy to implement this. Take a screenshot of this so you can build it for yourself, or the easy way is just to go out to our school community where you will get access to this Airtable. You can download it. You just download the Airtable, and it will actually install the whole automation for you. So that would be part 1 within Make, part 2 within Make, and using your Airtable. Please note you do need a paid account for a couple of these tools, and one being Airtable, the other being API credit for ChatGPT, Anthropic, Claude, and Perplexity. And put a couple of dollars in them. $5 each should be enough to get a couple of courses up and running. So I'm just going to pause this video because it does take a little while for all of this to be populated. So I will get back to you soon. Okay, so this is make.com. You will need to sign up for an account. If you don't have an account yet, go to make.com. This is what it looks like. You can sign up for free. It's 1,000 free runs a month, which is quite a lot. I'm just going to log into my account. I'm going to log into my account, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to create a new scenario. Top right, click on that purple button. Now, the first thing we need to do, we need to create a webhook. And a webhook is that little sort of entrance way where we can send data to. So I'm just going to hit plus here, and then I'm going to say webhook. So I'm going to say a custom webhook, and then I'm going to give it a name, add. I'm going to call it delete, because I will be deleting it straight after this workshop. Delete, shoot. Call it whatever you want to call it. No IP restrictions, just hit OK. And here is your webhook. That's the webhook you need to remember. Copy that for your Airtable. So let's go on to the next part. Now I have my webhook here. Next thing I'd like to do, I'm just going to move this to the side so we can see what we're working at. I'm going to hit this plus button here, and then I'm going to say Airtable. So we need to connect to our Airtable. So first thing we do before we even connect this one, you need to go to your Airtable, you need to connect, or you need to create a database. And in order to do so, you just go, let me show you, go to Airtable, airtable.com, log into your account. And for this one, you will need a paid account. I'm sorry, it's not a very expensive one. Click on create here, top bottom left, and then it will show you build an app or start from scratch. Say start from scratch, and then let me show you my course creator. Give it 2 tabs, create 2 tabs. You can add tabs by hitting the little plus here. So add a tab, start from scratch, and give them these names. So it will be, in this case, it'll be name, system prompt OpenAI, company profile, target audience, create an outline, and this is a drop-down menu, and then this will populate by itself because we're pushing everything back to that initial step. So here we go. So we are here. So the next thing I need to do, I need to connect on that database. So once I've set it up in Airtable, I can hit the plus button and I can say Airtable. I'm going to say get a record. And then I'm going to try and find my, it just takes a little while to load. It's called Course Content Designer. There we go. I need to have a table with a record ID. The initial table that I'm connecting onto is called course. So I'm going to say course, and then I'm going to say record ID. Well, that's the only one there. That's it, done. We've set up the first module, or the second module in this case. Next thing we need to do, we just need to add our OpenAI. We're going to say create a completion. Let me just have a look, create a completion. And to add your ChatGPT, click on the add here and then just follow what it says here. Go to OpenAI, add your OpenAI key, and then you have a new connection added. So who are we talking to? First of all, we're going to be talking to this model. It's going to be created chat completion GPT-01 model. And then now the next thing we need to select here is what version are we talking to? I'd like to talk to a system. So I'm going to go for 4.0 system. And it'll just take a little while for it to load. There'll be a couple of new drop downs here. And the first thing I want to say is I'm going to add a message. I'm going to say what role are we going to use? We're going to go develop a system, and then we're going to give it a bit of context. The first thing I'd like to put in here is the system prompt from OpenAI. And then I put in a sentence, you will output in a JSON array. So it's going to, the output from ChatGPT in this case is going to be JSON. Now, I'd like to have another role here, and I'm going to go for developer system. I'm going to put in target audience. Then also I need to map that. So I'm going to say target audience OpenAI. I'm going to go and add another one. I'm going to talk again to a developer system. Company profile. And then I'm going to map that one as well. Company profile. So what I've done now, I've put in the system prompt. Just going back to Airtable now, here it shows you the prompt. That's what I've mapped. Then after that, I've put in the company profile, the target audience, then the company profile. Now, I'd like to have another development. I'd like to go developer system. And I'm going to give it this piece of context. So I'm asking for the lessons, the modules, the titles, lessons, objectives, key point 1, 2, and 3. And then after that, the next thing you need to do, you just need to hit advanced here, response format. We're going to put that into JSON object. Now the parse JSON is set to no. We're going to set it to yes. The max completion tokens, I'm just going to put on 0. And I like a temperature of 0.8. So it's a little bit, it's the lower temperature. It generates more focused and well-defined responses. Play around with that, you can get cooler responses. And that's all we have to add for this one. So I'm just going to hit OK here. So as you see, I've got 3 modules, a webhook, the getting a record from Airtable, and I've called it get a topic. I renamed it here, get topic. I create lessons outline. I've renamed that one as well to create lessons outline. And next thing that we need to do, we would like to add an iterator. Iterator. And all we need to do is map the result from this one here. So I'm going to go for this one, result lesson. Just hit OK. Then I'm going to add a router in here. It's going to go down 2 ways, top, bottom. I want the output from everything that we've made in these previous steps. So everything that we've made here. I want the output to be sent to chapters. In order to do that, what I do, I click here on plus, I'm going to go Airtable, I'm going to go create a record. I'm going to find the Airtable base that we're talking about. So that's the course content designer. And then instead of it going to course, I want it to go to chapters. And then I'm going to have to map all of these fields. So course, chapters, and then it will sort of import, it will import all of these fields. So your objective is to have a second tab called chapters, and you need to give it these titles. So literally title, module, Claude, content, lesson, objective, key point 1, 2, and 3, Claude system, prompt, target audience, OpenAI, company profile, and I see that's spelled wrong. We'll edit that one in a minute. Create content, do over, data 1, 2, source 1, 2, create, citation 1, 2, and 3, video, title, video 2. That's the titles that you need, and there's a couple more. Just have a look at my screen here. You will need to have all of them set up before you can even import this. So do the setup of this first. If you can't be bothered doing all of this, just head up straight over to our school community. The link should be down below. You can just import this whole Airtable file, and it will also instruct you how to import the make.com part A and part B, and then how to connect everything on. So there's a tiny little bit of manual work, but once it's set up, it will run. Links down below. Okay, so what we're doing here, we're going to map all the titles, the modules, etc. So how do we do that? So I'm going to map the title, and in order to do that, I need to map it from this one called an iterator here. Let me just put it like this. Yeah, so I have a title, and then I'm going to put my learning from success, then I'm going to put the module in, module. And I just do that for all of the points that, or all of the fields that we have, all of the columns that we have here. Once you've mapped all of these columns, you could put in, I'm going to put the OpenAI in a Claude prompt. Now, next, I'd like to have the target audience, and I'd like to have the company profile. So I don't need to do any of the rest. I'm going to put in record ID number 1. So that will be the initial webhook. So it knows it needs to talk back to that original Airtable. And then the rest I can just leave as is. So I've actually created a filter here called the penultimate lesson. And I'm telling the bundle, the output bundle from here, so the order position, the numeric operator is less than the total number of bundles. I just have to put that in as a filter. So that's my first filter that I'm putting in. Now I would like you to add another one. So I'm going to go hit the plus button. I'm going to do, no, I'm sorry. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go clone. I'm going to put that here, and the only other difference I'm going to put in here is I'm going to make a new filter. I'm going to set the filter up as follows. Set up a filter. I'm going to call it final lessons and triggers next automation. Bundle order position, and I'm going to say total number of bundles. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say is equal to. So I've got two variants here. One being is less than, and one is being equal to. What I would like you to do, once you've opened this one, you need to just scroll down, and then we're going to say create content. I'm going to say, I'm not going to map it. I'm going to drop down. I'm going to say get citation. This means that what this filter is actually doing is actually allowing you to create a citation once it has been triggered. So when I trigger it within chapter 2, within this part here, let me just have a look. Sorry, this one. I say get citation. Once that's been triggered, it will go down here and it will actually start creating a citation for it. So I needed to put that one in. So I'm saying get citation here, and that's all I have to do. And then I'm just going to say okay. So now we have part 1 of the automation all set up. Let's carry on to part 2. So for the second part, what we do exactly the same as we did for the first part. We go back to make, log in, create a new scenario. So first thing we do here is we're going to hit the plus, and then we're going to go for Airtable. I'm going to go watch for responses. Now we're actually creating another webhook here. So just give it a name and then hit OK. So then I need to set up my content. It needs to connect onto the base content me too, and I'm going to connect it onto, what was it? Course. There we go. And then next thing I want to do, there's a couple of things that I want the output fields to sort of map, so or get. I'm going to say name, system open prompt, target audience, OpenAI, create chapter outlines and the chapters. I don't need the rest. What I'd like to do, I'd like to put this formula in, so it says record ID equals, and then source one, and that's going to be this, that original source. I'm going to limit this to 20. Now I'd like this whole thing to iterate through each one of the lessons. So I'm going to go and add an iterator here. Iterator. So it needs to go through the chapters. Let me just have a look. Total bundles, chapters. Let's also rename this. I'm just going to hit OK here. Iterate through each lesson. I need to add another record, so an Airtable, get a record. I'm going to say which one does it have to, where does it have to grab the data from? Chapters, and then the record ID is going to be the record ID from the iterator in the previous step. Now, I would like to have a citation. So a citation is that somewhere where we can reference the original source from. Perplexity is really good for that. So I'm going to go to hit this plus. I'm going to say create a completion, chat completion. I'm going to go perplexity. Again, for this one, just hit add your API key there, and it should be working. I'm going to go for a Llama 3 huge 128 model, and I'm going to put in a bit of code. I'd like to give it a message. I'm going to give this message a bit of content. So I'm going to say you are research for our company. You will give citations for course content based on our user input. You will output strictly in JSON format only, and then I want to give this. Well, I want to give Perplexity a template, and then it has to adhere to this template I've given it here. So it's going for fact sources, description, and the source. I have a last bit that I'll just type out now. You'll be provided with the heading lesson, objective, key points. You must research and give the citation for each of the content writing. You must also be provided a summary of the previous chapter, so keep the narration flow. Then I'm going to add this as a system, yeah? Next one, I'd like to add another piece of content. I'm going to please give the citation for the following. I'm going to say, what do I want? I need to have the title, the lesson, let me have a look, the title, the lesson, the objective, the key points. So all of them I need to sort of map into my original content here. Let me just write it out. And then I'm mapping all the parts that come out of this part here. So I'm saying the title, lesson, objective, key point 1, 2, and 3. So that's how I'm going to set this up. So I've got let me go back. I'm watching for the records. I'm searching the records. I'm getting individual lesson plan, and then creating citations. Now, what I'd like to do now, I'd like to sort of structure this data back to, because I've had an output of JSON in the previous steps. ChatGPT, create a completion. I'm going to say create a completion, and then I'm going to say what model I'm going to use. I'm going to use 04 system. Also here I need to give it a template. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT what to do next. So I'm going to tell it that it's a JSON parser, develop a system. I'm going to say it's a JSON parser. Let me just type it. You are a JSON parser, pass the info from, pass the JSON from the text provided output JSON format. This is the template that I need to be using. So I'm just going to put that in, take a screenshot, copy it. I would like to add another role. I'm going to talk to a user, and then I'm going to say the choices are made from the message content here. That's the one that I need to have. Now after that, I'm going to go input detail. I'm missing a little field here. So what I do, I'm going to hit, this needs to be JSON object. I'll put the maximum tokens on 0. Play around with the temperature. Let's go for 0.65. And then for the rest, I don't need to do anything. I always like to rename them. So I'm going to rename it JSON parse. So it's sort of parsing is structuring it back. So now I'd like to add perplexity. and I'd like to add the haiku model from Anthropic. I'm going to say Anthropic Claude again. If you need to add yours, here's the instructions. Add your API key, add $5 of credit into there, and it should work. Once you've connected it, it will show down in your drop down box here. So what model do I want to use? I would like to use the haiku model. I'm going to use haiku. I'm going to put the maximum amount of tokens, 8192, message for the user, and I'm going to say, okay, please create a very comprehensive, high-quality lesson on the content of the following lessons. Name for the title, and then it will give me back the title, this title. That's what I'm writing it for. I'm writing it for the name of the course and then the title. Make sure you are using the following as a guideline when creating the content for LMS. So I'm putting in my model, my title, my lesson, and I'm mapping all of them to previous steps. So the previous step of this one here. So getting individual lesson plans, the record here. I'm saying the module, the title, lesson, objective, and then just 1, 2, 3, 4 of the key points. I'd like to add one more thing. I'd like to add these data facts. So that would be the results coming from the JSON. See how I've done that? I've had the data fact, given it number 1, data fact, and then the source, data fact number 2, source number 2, and then giving it a case study with mapped it to here, and then the case study source also mapped it to that. Be sure to cite and reference and provide backlinks to the source. So I'm telling it to give me a real source. So there's one more thing that we need to do. Let me just open it so you can see it properly. There we go. I am going to scroll down, and then here it says Claude system prompt. So number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that one there. Please expand on the citation and reference provided. Assume that the topics are new information to the reader. So I've added this whole, I've had it in this whole prompt here. Again, you can just get this in our school community. I just thought I'd give you an outline on how you could build something like this. Once you've filled this in, the only thing is the temperature, and then that's it. Just hit OK, and we need to add a couple more things, and we're almost there, and then we can test it and see if it runs. I would like to add another Airtable here. I'm going to send everything that we've made here. I'm going to send that back to my original, let's say, update a record. Yeah, update record. Update a record. I'm going to send it back to that original tab here. So I need to put it into chapters. Let me just go to chapters. And then I need to get the record ID, record ID, that one. So the thing that I'm trying to map, because it's just loaded all my stuff here, I want to map the Claude content, text response. So that will be the text response from the module before. The next thing I wanted it to do, I wanted to have the data. So that would be the data, and that would be data 1, 2, 3. So here I'm going to go for fact number 1. I'm going to go for fact number 2. I'm going to go for source number 1 and source number 2. And then that's it for those. So I'm sending it all back to my Airtable right here. Next thing is an iterator. There we go, iterator. And for this iterator, the field is going to be citations from number 2. So that would be from Perplexity itself. After that, I'd like to add a router here. To say router, there we go. I'm going to give it 3 ways. Add a route. So I've got 3 routes now, and I'm going to go Airtable, data record, and then I would like the value that comes out of this iterator to be put into there. Citation 1, put it in like that. And then next time it will start running once it gets all the data, because there's loads of fields and loads of stuff happening in the back end here. It will not show that field as that it can be mapped. Just trust me on this one. This one will work. Okay, so now I have another citation that I need to add. So I want to have a total of 3 citations. So I'm just going to go clone, and in a minute I will be adding on filters so that we can have let me just go and rename this so that everything will work. So everything will work correctly. I'm going to go for a second citation here, and I'm going to go clone. I'm going to go rename it, 3RD, third. Okay, so I've got 3 versions here. What I need doing next. So I've got 3 citations, and what I want to do next, I would like to have I need to make a filter, because I need to tell this one it's the first citation, second citation, etc. So I'm going to go for first citation, and then, so I've put all the filters in now. Let me show you them. Bundle order position, and then I put in numeric operator equal to number 1. For the second one, I've done the same, and then I've said number 2, and then for the third one, I've done the same, but then number 3. So not very hard. I just had to think about it. I'd rather not do that in a live video. So this is, we've got everything set up. So we have our original Airtable that has actually created all the chapters for me, as the outcome is looking like this right now. This may not look like a lot of content, but within here there is loads of content. And so it's got lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, setting personal goals, creating a keto meal plan, 3 overcoming common challenges, keto exercises, performance, monitoring your health. And you could put this into your Udemy course or your school course. You could put it on the drip feed. Someone pays an X amount a month, and then they get one lesson a day, 1 chapter a day, however you want to set that up. This is just what you could use, or what you could utilize to create content in bulk. So you could try it with a keto meal plan. You could try it with AI, the AI revolution, learning ChatGPT, whatever you're interested in. Make a course on it. Get ChatGPT to make the course. You summarize it, revise it, have a look if it's all 100% right, and then publish it. I really hope you enjoyed what I've built here for you, especially seeing as this was quite a detailed build. Don't forget, if you want to get hold of these files, the link is down below. You can it will be taken straight to our school community, and from there you can just get this Airtable, including all the files that belong with it, explanations, and a community on the back end. And of course, you get all our other automations included in your purchase of our school community. So I hope to see you inside soon, and until next time, bye bye.